Alright, so here's the first video in the series on electron configurations. You should have electron configurations notes page on the side that says valence electrons at the top. So valence electrons, that's just what we call the electrons that are in the outer energy level. So if you've done these energy level diagrams before in previous classes, or even if you haven't, maybe you've seen diagrams like this where there's layers of electrons in certain elements, and whatever electrons are in that outer layer, those are called valence electrons. Now for the main group elements, and you may want to pause and grab your pink periodic table. You're going to need that for an activity on the next slide for the example that we're going to work, so you may want to pause and grab that. But for the main group elements, those are the tall columns on your periodic table. So on your table, they're actually numbered. The column numbers are 1 and 2. You'll see that they're taller. And then 13 through 18. You'll see how those columns are taller than the other ones. So for the main group elements, or the tall columns, all you do is count which column it is to get the number of valence electrons. So for instance, if I were doing chlorine, which on your pink periodic table is going to be element number 17, I'm just going to count the tall columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It would have 7 valence electrons. Notice that that is also the number in ones place for the group number. So it is group number 17. If you look at the top of your column, it says 17, and there are 7 valence electrons. Similarly, with nitrogen, which is in group 15, it's going to have 5 valence electrons. So it matches the number in ones place. So that brings us to our example where you're going to try to determine how many valence electrons each element has. So first begin with aluminum. If you're having trouble finding it, you're going to find it in space 13 on your periodic table. So look at that. See if you can figure out how many valence electrons. Okay. If you said 3, you're correct. It is in the third tall column over, or group 13, which has a 3 in the 1 space. So it has 3 valence. Now do the same thing for the element potassium. The symbol's K. You'll find that in space 19 on your periodic table. See if you can figure out how many valence electrons potassium has. If you said 1, you're correct. It's in group 1. It has 1 valence electron. Try the same thing with nitrogen. It is number 7 on your periodic table. If you said 5, you're correct. It is in group 15. The number in ones place for that group is 5. So it has 5 valence electrons. Try silicon and oxygen. You'll find silicon, that is element 14, and oxygen is just the right of that, element number 8. So for silicon, the correct number of valence electrons is 4, and for oxygen it is 6. If you understand that, you can go ahead and move on to the next video in this segment. If you don't, this would be a great time to call Ms. Vowles over and ask a question just to make sure that you understand how to determine the number of valence electrons. That's going to be important as we move forward.